Hey! Back with another video. My Ancestor Paradox. So this is a paradox we're about to learn about, y'all. Subscribe, turn on post notifications, smash that like button up. And let's get it, let's go. I just want to hop right into it. Let's go.
This video is sponsored by MyHeritage. More about them at the end of the episode. Because you have two parents, and each of those parents has two parents, and so on, your ancestors, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and on, should add up pretty fast. In fact, by the time you get just 37 generations back, you would have 137 billion ancestors just in that 37th generation alone. That's more than the 117 billion or so people that have ever lived on Earth, which is impossible.
Slow it down. Slow it down already. So, I have two parents. My girl's parents have two parents. Both of their parents have two parents. After their parents have two parents. Right. The ancestors go generation to generation. Yeah. So one family. Wow. Hold on. If you really think about it, that doesn't sound too far-fetched for the Bible. It only takes 37 generations to make a billion people. And they say we all came from one group of people. It only takes 37 generations to make one. But if it was only family, where would the other people come from? I got a lot of questions. That's interesting. That's interesting to think about.
So, you must have a lot fewer ancestors than you might think. Hi, I'm Cameron, and this is Minute Earth. To make
Hey, my name's Cameron too. Hey.
This. Let's say, for example, that, I don't know, your parents are first cousins. I know, bear with me for a second. That would mean that two of your grandparents are siblings. And since siblings have the same parents, and therefore the same ancestry, a bunch of these ancestors are duplicates. We can really just count them once. Going back to our 37 generations thing, that's more than 34 billion ancestors we would no longer be counting.
Wow.
That might sound like an extreme example, but more distant relationships, like fourth cousins, which we don't even consider to be that closely related, still hollow out your pyramid. And our family histories are full of lots and lots of inbreeding. That might sound pretty gross to you and me, but mating with relatives hasn't always been frowned upon. Heck, Albert Einstein married his first cousin, and certain royal families actively encouraged inbreeding. But the biggest reason for all of this inbreeding is that throughout most of human history, we lived in small groups with limited baby-making options, which led to a lot of trees that just don't fork very much. But
Wait. So think about it. Anybody out there who thinks you're alone, you have almost 1 billion ancestors that you could actually turn to if you really need to. And in some African spiritual systems, they believe that calling on your ancestors was the secret to you becoming successful with almost anything you did. Take that into consideration. Let's go.
Wait, so far we've been defining your ancestors as everyone you're descended from. If instead we think about an ancestor as someone that actually passed genes on to you, that number is much, much smaller. I know that sounds paradoxical. I mean, you had to get all of your genes from somewhere, so of course they came from your ancestors, but they didn't come from all of your ancestors. Imagine that instead of passing along their genes, people passed along different kinds of candy. To inherit your genome, you close your eyes and you draw an equal number of candies from your mom's bowl and your dad's bowl, each of which contain a mix of everything they got from their ancestors. There are going to be a lot of candies that you don't get. These represent genes that you don't inherit. This is obviously an oversimplification, but I hope you get the idea. You can see how very quickly you might by chance receive fewer or no genes from some ancestors because you received extra from another. Over time, this process means that most of your distant ancestors didn't pass on any DNA to you. If you do the math, which is complicated, you only have a 50% chance of having inherited any DNA at all from a randomly selected ancestor 10 generations back, and a 3% chance of inheriting anything from an ancestor 15 generations back. The majority of your ancestors farther back than that almost certainly didn't pass along any DNA to you. The DNA you did inherit came from only a very small slice of the pyramid of all.
So you have a lot of family, you just don't have a lot of genes from all of that family. I know that damn thing didn't. I literally just fixed that thing, y'all. 1 second. Anyways, let's continue.
All of your supposed ancestors. So your family tree might be smaller than you think, and your gene pool is even smaller.
Hey Cameron, it's David. I'm just butting in to let you know that my wife and I are definitely not cousins. Well, at least not super close ones. I just found that out thanks to my heritage, which is
okay. So like, give me a heritage. So that was a quick video, but it was still a whole lot of interesting going on. So we don't get genes passed down from all of our ancestors. We only get so many genes passed down from certain ones of our ancestors. And there was a book I was reading out there. It was called like how things. It was about slavery, but it was how trauma can be passed down through heritages, right? But if we don't inherit all of our, but I wonder, like, just from what he said, we don't inherit all of it. Do you really inherit the specific traumas that come from specific things that happen from specific times and specific reasons? Yeah, the ancestor thing is like really crazy, but yeah, that was pretty interesting. I'm interested to learn a little more about that, because if we have over 1 billion ancestors, that means each person has 1 billion people that they're connected to in the past. And if we have 1 billion people that we're connected to, I don't know, I just have a lot of questions. Like how to a degree wouldn't we all be considered family? Let me do something. Let me look at the comments. I'm curious to see what the comments are going to say about this, because it's interesting as fuck. Like, this is blowing my mind. Not to mention all of those generations that are bound to some mutations that limit how many genes. Yeah, okay. You draw an equal number of candies from your mom's bowl and your dad's bowl. That's it, folks. It's official. Candy stored in the bowl. Okay, so you draw an equal number of candies. Okay. Clarification. My uncle. My uncle Eugene. We called him Gene. Hell out, you pull. Okay, that's a good one. So you're saying if we time traveled back 1,000 years, it's safe to bone anyone without worrying they might be genetically related to us. I don't think that's what he's saying. Maybe it is what he's saying, but the Ancestor Paradox. Well, how is it a paradox though? Like, a paradox is something that, like, how is that a paradox though? Like, I didn't get a paradox from that video too. You guys can explain it to me in the comments. Where was the paradox at? The amount of it's still represented. Don't forget to factor in the parenthood. Okay. Now people writing stories. I ain't reading stories. They're joking. Has living ancestors today. It's not some. So if Jesus has ancestors today, it's not. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get the paradox. Maybe I missed the paradox in it, y'all. Y'all can help me in the comments to know what the paradox is. All right, I'm out, y'all. My skin glowing too, man. That's the apple cider vinegar. All right, peace.